Welcome to a special edition of Girls in Basketball. I'm your host, Kelly Kinkaid. Today, I'm honored to have my guest, 12-time NBA All-Star, two-time NBA champion, the 89-90 Finals MVP, and Hall of Famer, Isiah Thomas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you for having me. And before we get started, I just want everybody to know the only reason why we doing this show, because Kelly is from Flint.
That's right.
We have to represent. We have to take care of our own. So
absolutely, it's nothing like being a Michigander.
So I'm giving you the virtual hug.
Okay, and I gave it to you back. Thank you for your time, Isiah. Before we talk about the playoffs, I'd like to speak to you about the current situations across the country with police brutality. And what's your take on it and the effects that it's had in the NBA?
Well, my take on it is that this has been going on, for centuries in our country in terms of policing and how police have policed our communities and in our color-coded caste system. And we are when you talk about us being in Black status in this country, this is how the police have operated in our community with people of color. And this isn't a new argument or a new enlightenment. This is something that has been going on for a very long time. This is what the 60s was all about. This is why the Black Panther Party was originally started, because of police brutality and trying to basically recruit the community to fight itself or protect itself against what was happening with the police. And what we've always been asking for is a relationship with the police in our communities in terms of the way they treat us, the way they respect us, and the way we respect them and also treat them. So it's a one-to-one relationship that we've always sought in this country with the police.
Yeah. You and veterans like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar have lent your voice with current players such as Malcolm Brogdon to form an alliance to create more awareness for social justice. What prompted you to do that?
I've always been, an activist. Our family is basically that's our family business is activism. My mother marched in Chicago, and when Martin Luther King came, she took us all. We marched as little kids. She also worked with Fred Hampton with the Black Panthers in Chicago. So there's a street named after my mom in Chicago. So it's always been about how do you take protests, how you move from protest to policy. And what we're trying to do right now is with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I've recruited Malcolm Brogdon of the Indiana Pacers, who coincidentally has a master's degree in policy. Rick Wade from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and we've reached out to football, baseball, and all other sports to form a coalition that's going to speak to how do we move these protests that we're having in the streets, how do we move that into policy where we can make real, long-lasting, legitimate, systemic changes to the system that we're being governed under right now.
Speaking of that, in 1991, the Rodney King beating happened, and you were a player during that time. Did you and other players discuss this incident, and was there ever an option to boycott?
If you look back on our history with the Bad Boys, when I was in Detroit, Mayor Coleman Young, myself, when Nelson Mandela was freed, one of the first places he came to was Detroit. And we have always been in the forefront, if you remember my No Crime Day in Detroit. So what we did was always trying to respond to these actions and not only respond with protests, but also try to respond with policy and getting something done.
Mm-hmm. And also with different players, the Muhammad Ali Summit in 1967, he brought together other players, great players like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to support. Why do you think the public puts so much emphasis on athletes for social justice rather than legislators and elected officials?
Because in In the caste system that we're in here in America, it's a color-coded caste system, and we being black in status have only been given the avenues to really have voice is in music, sports, and art. So whenever the champion has got the mic, it was up to him or her, and it was required of him or her to basically speak for the voiceless in our community, to shine the light on what was going on in our community with our brothers and sisters that the rest of the world and the rest of the international community may not be able to see or may not be able to hear. So for a long period of time, as you just said, really up until 1991, a new champion stepped on, and those new champions, when they stepped on in sport, in basketball, and in other different arenas, they chose to be silent. And for a long time, the champion, when he or she had the mic, they wasn't speaking to what was going on back in our neighborhoods. So we lost a lot of momentum. Now, when LeBron James and this crew came in the 2000s and above, then they start speaking again to social issues that was happening back in our community. So that's where we are today in terms of shining the light and the athlete really taking on that responsibility and using his microphone, using his platform to shine a light on what's going on in our community. Because for about a 10-year period of time, from 91 to 2000, that voice was silent when you talk about the sports landscape.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. Let's get into the playoffs. The NBA season, and even in the bubble now, it definitely is a whole new game. We're in round 2, and with 8 teams now, were there any teams that have surprised you in the playoffs?
I wouldn't say there's a team that surprised me. I thought if Portland could have stayed healthy, they were one of the teams that were going to be well and play well. And I thought they would have gave the Lakers a much tougher series. Thus far, everything has kind of played out the way it was supposed to play out. I thought we saw a fabulous performance from Dallas and Luka in terms of what they were able to do. Doncic, the way he was playing, when Porzingis was healthy, he was playing well. But when you look at the powers, I think the powers have stepped up. Toronto, Milwaukee, Boston in the East. And when you look at the West, you're looking at the Lakers and the Clippers. Those 5 teams have really done what they're supposed to do.
So that leads me to ask you, any predictions for the finals?
I'm still looking at the Clippers and either the Clippers or Toronto, Boston, the winner of that series.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Milwaukee will be able to regain. They were playing well when the season stopped, before the virus hit. They had good momentum. They were playing well. I'm watching them in the bubble right now, and it just seems like they haven't really got back to that chemistry and well played offensive scheme that they had before the shutdown. So right now I'm giving Boston and the Clippers the edge.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for joining me. This has been an honor and a pleasure. For people to catch you, how can they follow you on social, and what's some upcoming things we can check out for you?
So on social, I'm real easy. Isiah Thomas with 1 A.
Yes.
On Twitter and also on Instagram. And I'm on NBATV and also TNT. So those are the places where you can find me talking sports. And if you want to find me talking any other thing, you may have to just catch me on CNN or someplace like that.
You're all over it. And before I leave and leave, I just want to tell you, I want to thank you, because growing up in Flint, Michigan, you and the Detroit Pistons were my first love as far as for basketball. You're the reason why my love for basketball runs so deep. And thank you just for the endless times of watching you play, making me swing my towel and what have you, and just really learning the basics of basketball. And I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you, and thank you for just all those prayers and silent prayers that you've given us and myself along the way. And I'm glad that I was able to find time to give to you, because you gave me so much unknowingly. And I'm glad we were able to connect in this space right now. So thank you, and really good luck to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for watching. I'm Kelly Kinkaid, and I'm just a girl who loves basketball. See you next time.